Welcome to the Meat and Potatoes podcast. We're here with James Curran, who's the founder and CEO of WhistlePitch.
How's it going?
I am good. How are you?
Good.
We've had a fun chat leading up to this.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
I'm glad I could be that guy for you.
Yeah, very insightful. But thank goodness we're not here to listen to my idiotic questions about the world in 2023. We're here to talk about WhistlePitch, your story, and hopefully have a good laugh, share some advice. Let's start with WhistlePitch. Where'd the idea come from? Let's just hear the founding story.
Yeah. So in 2019, I founded a company called GrubPass. And the idea was that users would pay $5 a month and they would get $5 off anytime they went to restaurants during their downtimes. So I launched that, and we ran into kind of a bottleneck when we were onboarding restaurants where the restaurant, we would train like the manager and owner and some employees. And then, we would assume that they were onboarded, quote unquote, but then they would inevitably have turnover and hire new employees. And that new employee would be working the cashier, and then somebody would come in with their GrubPass app expecting to seamlessly, get their $5 off, and that employee didn't know what GrubPass was. So I was looking for a solution that we could integrate with seamlessly into like their hiring CRM. And when someone new was hired, it would send them a text message with a video, training them on what GrubPass was, and then I could see that they watched it and feel confident continuing to send business there. So that was like the idea of WhistlePitch, which is where where we are now is that we allow users to distribute what we call smart content through text messages. So and smart content is content that you can track by the individual engager and that you can trigger based off of their engagement.
Okay. And as it's been proven time and time again over the last 15 years, like people are looking at their phones constantly, right?
Yeah.
And you've got all these other options, but text still seems to be king.
It's the highest converting form of communication where people will have the highest open rates and things like that. So that's where we're putting our focus.
Yeah. Common sense, but also good on you guys for like figuring out something that you see every day. There's a lot of people in my network, I assume yours as well, that haven't listened to a voicemail in 10 years. And then
I avoid them like the plague. Like,
yeah.
Why am I listening? Just send me a text.
Yeah. Or those that say, why don't you text me that?
Yeah.
Like, well, I told you verbally. Well, text
I'm
is
gonna
better.
forget. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like quite the history log of, you also get a lot of I told you so because it's in the text.
True.
So no more of like, oh, I forgot to pick up milk.
Yeah, the receipts are there. We know what I said. Let's pull up the thread.
Help solve a lot of bets. All right. So as a layman here with texting, you can use it for any number of things on planet Earth, right? Reminders, onboarding, vote for me, all sorts of stuff. So where are you guys focused now?
Yeah. So we have three main products that we've taken this ability to distribute what we call smart content. And we're focusing on those three products. And the first one is a Calendly integration. We feel like when people schedule on Calendly, there's this long lag in between the meeting, which is really impersonal. There's no in between. And oftentimes, when I schedule on someone's Calendly, I don't even know who they are. So what we've allowed users to do with this Calendly integration is you can build a campaign that's essentially attaching an intro video of yourself to a text message, and then you pick the Calendly calendar that you want to trigger it from. And then when someone schedules on your Calendly, they get a text message introducing themselves, and they get a video of you introducing yourself and explaining what to expect for your meeting. And we also give you the behind the scenes because it's smart content. We can tell you if the person has watched it, how many times they've watched it, and if they're prepared for their meeting or not.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We've all been there, like whether it's procrastination, laziness, or back-to-back meetings where you're going into the meeting and you're not prepared.
Yeah.
And you've got that feeling of like, I hope they don't ask this question.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer.
Well, the other thing is I feel like not only are people not like familiar with the person that they're meeting, so it's good to introduce yourself beforehand, but also I think there's a lot of anxiety about meeting up with someone face to face over Zoom or Google Meet, and you don't know who they are. So we eliminate that kind of anxiety about meeting a stranger by introducing that person to the, person who's scheduled. Yeah, and we've been able to really improve. Like we have dramatic improvement in scheduled appointments because we've introduced them, and also kept appointments as well. People, and then everyone who uses this product is like, oh, our appointments go so much better because we've gotten kind of that awkward phase out of the way. We're just smooth sailing.
Gotcha. So a little less small talk, because let's just use Silicon Slopes real quick as an example. Right now, it's a lot of calls with speakers for Summit, and then sponsors, and then just the normal day-to-day. Hey, we're going to be talking about Silicon Slopes partnership. You've reviewed this prospectus, which was attached in the email. I like to golf and mountain bike.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Would I break the ice a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I scheduled on your Calendly, and when I came in today, I had no idea who you were. Like I didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
But it would have been really cool, just feedback as a user, if there was a video of you explaining what was going to happen on this podcast and introducing yourself and the things you like, and then boom, we wouldn't have to do some of this like small talk. I would have gotten to know you and feel a little more comfortable. I am super comfortable with you right now, just so you know. I think that could have been a better user experience for me coming on this podcast.
Yeah. Again, I think common sense, and like it's what people want. And, you'll see folks that have like executive assistants asking like, what's their name? What do they like to do? Like trying to get a quick download.
Yeah.
So that they can act natural. Like, hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Great to see you. How are the kids? Right.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then, probably the magic sauce is like, to your point, you can see it and track it and know and see.
Yeah. Understand. You can see whether or not I've met you. You can see whether or not I've watched it. You could even drip out some of these videos to me through text and kind of prepare me for the meeting leading up to this podcast. Hey, just don't, Dave, don't forget, bring this, or these are the questions we're going to go over.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That is great.
So that's the least exciting of the three products that we have. They progressively get better and more exciting.
What's the next one?
The next product is we're able to fully automate the experience of scheduling someone for their first interview from like a job site like ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Handshake, things like that, all the way to scheduling themselves for their first interview. So traditionally, if I'm posting a job, what ZipRecruiter will do is they'll give you all of these like resumes. They'll say, hey, thanks for posting a job. Here's 20 people that are interested, and then it's your job or your employee's job that you're paying $60,000 a year to go through the resumes and to, call them, email them, follow up, and try to get a hold of them and schedule them for their first interview. But I've created a system that completely automates that entire experience, and I feel like is way better. So once someone applies, instead of applying directly on ZipRecruiter and submitting their resume, we allow them to apply externally through our really beautiful landing page on WhistlePitch. And then, 5-10 minutes later, they get a video of the recruiter introducing themselves, or maybe the CEO introducing the company, and then telling them about the job, and then inviting them right there through our WhistlePitch link to schedule their own appointment. And then we break down for you on the back end who's watched it, who's not watched it, where they ended up in the pipeline, and we automate that entire process for you.
And I imagine both sides appreciate that, right?
Yeah. The person got to get introduced to the company when they were the warmest, and then schedule themselves, so the hassle's off. And then now they have a personal touch, and they're like, oh, I feel more comfortable with this company, and now I don't have to talk to anyone or get on the phone with anyone. I just did it myself. It's seamless for both sides. It's really a better experience for both sides.
Yeah. And what are some of the key results on the hiring side of that? You gave an example of there's 20 folks for this job that made it into the top 20.
Mm-hmm.
The metrics that they'd be seeing would be videos watched,
Mm-hmm.
like they've gone through they've done everything we've asked.
Yeah.
It's
So
a good sign right out of the gate.
yeah, we break down every metric that you could possibly have, exactly where they ended up in this like pipeline of slides through the link. It's hard to kind of like demonstrate this through my voice, but essentially we allow you to build different slides of content leading up to the eventual like scheduling of the calendar. That's all packaged in that link and branded for your company. But we break down where they ended up, how long they spent, whether or not they watched the whole video or just partially, and then you can click on their tab and then see exactly how long they watched and how many times and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, yes, we provide that data, but the coolest part about it is that we automate the entire process so that the recruiter no longer has to be calling and following up. They just show up to whatever meetings they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. And that probably saves a lot of time.
So much time.
Money.
So much money, honestly.
Less heartburn.
So, yeah, it also cures so many diseases.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, by all the time saved and money saved, somebody could go cure a disease.
Honestly, like use WhistlePitch and then become a doctor because you don't have to be calling all of your applicants.
Yeah.
You could literally, say cure cancer.
It's got to be weird. Like, hey, I want a job, but now I won't reply to emails.
Right, but you got to understand that especially like if you take the entry level positions, right, where like sales and things like this, that like they're applying to like 10 different jobs, right, or maybe more, and if you don't get to them right away, oftentimes the recruiter will, they get to them in 3 days or 48 hours, and if another recruiter's gotten them first, or they had the better experience with whose ever company, they're going to probably go with them. So it's really important to immediately make a good impression, and WhistlePitch allows you to do that literally immediately. Like they apply, boom, here's a video of the company, and you can package that video however you want. And it could be impersonal, personal, it could be high produced, low produced. Either way, you get to put your company and build a connection with them right away, and then invite them to schedule their own appointment.
Very cool. And getting your first organization to buy the product and use it, what was that like?
A lot of networking and asking for favors and trying, will you just try this? And but yeah, we were able to get customers. Right now, we're actually, I don't know if we mentioned on the podcast, but we just hired a sales team who's going to focus specifically on this product and go sell it.
Very cool. And this would be small, medium businesses all the way up to like big enterprises that would use this?
Anybody with a job ad that's sick of doing the manual labor of calling and following up and getting that first appointment scheduled should use this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And you mentioned impersonal, personal, high production, low production. Are there any videos that you've seen that you think nailed it?
To be honest with you, the most successful videos are just a guy in his office holding his phone, and it just feels more real. Like it feels more genuine, and he's just holding his phone, explaining what the job is, with a smile on his face, and inviting them to, I'm looking forward to our first interview. Please schedule on the next slide.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. And then the last product that you said there's 3, now we're on number 3.
BlastView. This was kind of a curveball for us as a company, because as like the other two are very like in the same lane, but this is just kind of like different. BlastView is a competitor to Patreon, OnlyFans, any exclusive content subscription that you can think of. We're a competitor. And what we believe is that the problem with exclusive content subscriptions is they're all on a separate platform. Patreon, for example, if I decide that I want to have an exclusive content subscription on Patreon, I create a Patreon, and then I tell all of my followers, hey, come support me and pay me $10, $5 a month. Go download Patreon, learn Patreon, change your habits so that you keep coming back to Patreon, and and I ask so much of them, and there's this huge friction to just being able to support your favorite person. Whereas, so I believe because there's all that friction, there's a huge drop off in conversion of people that would support you to people who are supporting you. And what we've done at BlastView is we made it incredibly simple. So instead of having people go and learn a new platform or download a new platform and do all that and change their habits, we allow our creators to just, in 60 seconds or less, create a simple subscription, and then all the subscriber has to do is have a phone number, and a credit card, and then they do nothing else. And then the content creator texts them the content each week or each month, and then as a subscriber, it's hands off, it's frictionless. And because of that, I believe people are going to make way more money with BlastView than any of our competitors.
Very cool. And we were talking a little bit before we jumped in the studio.
Yeah. I taught you what OnlyFans was.
The first two that we talked about, Calendly and then the fully auto process with jobs, that all made sense from Bruce's perspective. And then BlastView, you had to educate me on all of that.
Yeah.
And my mind is too feeble or unimaginative enough to even fathom that. But yeah. I do see the value in monetizing that. I could never imagine participating.
Are we talking about OnlyFans?
No, well,
what are we talking
watching
about?
Anyone do anything.
Do you have a favorite? Like, who's your favorite celebrity or like athlete?
That would be, well, they're all like Bo Jackson.
Do you have, okay.
But he doesn't play anymore.
Okay. Do you have a favorite like college team?
Nebraska.
Okay. Imagine they had a subscription that for $5 a month that you could subscribe, and before you're about to watch their games, because I'm assuming you watch their games.
Yeah, probably half of them.
You get to see them, and they get to you get to see them in the locker room right before they go out in the games, and they get to tell you how pumped they are, and like you get to support them for $5 a month, knowing that a percentage of that goes to the players that don't have scholarships.
Okay.
Would you subscribe? No, that's it's all good. But I bet you there's Nebraska fans who absolutely would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think 90% of the people in this office would.
Got it. Yeah, you don't have social media, so you're hands off there. But I'm saying, imagine that concept where you know we're talking to BYU basketball right now.
Yeah.
We have some USU basketball players, and some other organizations that we're excited about. But they have fans who love them, and the opportunity to be able to see their team or the band or whatever beforehand, before the game, and see this exclusive stuff, and know that your money is supporting that team, and players that don't have scholarships or things like that. People will sign up left and right to be able to support them.
All right, I kind of get it in a different way, like Hard Knocks on HBO.
Okay.
I like that because it's like different and cool, and there's like a backstory. Granted, it's not like live, but it kind of does show a different light. All or Nothing on Amazon, I like those.
Okay.
And then like the Drive to Survive on Netflix for Formula One.
Yeah.
It was like, I've loved Formula One for 15, 20 years, but it was kind of confusing. It's like European and they do things weird. But then like behind the scenes, you see it.
Yeah.
It's still weird and European, but it's way cool. And obviously they've minted a lot of money
if you get to see like behind the scenes or kind of how it's done, or, like there's certain things that people who are fans of things never get to see. And this is an opportunity for organizations, bands, teams, athletes to be able to say, hey, I'll give you access to things that you want to see. It's just $5 a month, or whatever it is a month.
All right. It's all clear now.
Yeah. And and with BlastView, it's easier. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to change any habits. Just put in your credit card. And if you want to unsubscribe, you just text back, unsubscribe. Done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you sign up Nebraska, I will.
You promise?
Yes.
Okay. when I sign up Nebraska's football team, I'm going to come back here personally, and I'm going to say, you got to sign up for BlastView. You got to, to their BlastView.
Yes.
$5 a month.
I love it. Very cool. Well, you're obviously having a lot of fun building the company and thinking through new ideas.
Yeah.
What is it like in 2022 to build this team, build the products, probably at some point raise money, all of that as the CEO?
It's great. I think for me, like you have to understand that I kind of like happenstance into the tech scene. You know what I mean? Like I've in the last 10 years, like I happened to have a roommate who won the BYU business competition, and he recruited me to start this business called Sticker.co, which is still running, by the way. And then I was actually a rapper for like 3 years, and then I came back to tech, and like I feel like my mind allows me to really create, especially as I was a musician, and I can create these products. I've even validated all of them. Like all those 3 products, we have a lot of paying customers, and they're all happy. But I think right now where I am as a CEO and as a business is that I'm realizing that, like, as far as like the growth stage of these things, and how to take it to get the Series A and things like that are things that I don't have a lot of knowledge on. So yeah, I right now where we're looking for is people to come on as advisors onto the board and kind of help guide us to through some growth strategy and help us get to a Series A and kind of scale this business to where I know it can go.
Yeah. A lot of moving parts as you transition into like this part of, you just mentioned you've hired sales folks. You've got to come up with that strategy, right? Like,
yeah,
here's who we're going to sell to. Here's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
How involved do you get in that part?
I'm pretty hands-on with our sales team. I mean, I'm also our IT. So like I'm pretty hands-on with all things, but yeah, I hired them. We're going to be working together. The way I've explained it to all of them is like, hey, like I'm this is kind of a fluid thing. We're all going to kind of synergistically help each other and figure out like the best scripts and all these things. But here's kind of my plan. Let's use like these bullet points and we'll be very open-minded and figure it out together.
Yeah.
But mostly it's really interesting because all of these guys who, by the way, I hired using my own system. I didn't do anything. They just showed up on a Zoom call from ZipRecruiter. But they're all excited, even though like it's commission only, and they're excited to, one, they like the product, and 2, they like the opportunity of selling for a startup because of the opportunity there.
Yeah.
So if anyone listening also wants to help sell WhistlePitch,
yeah,
we would love to talk to you.
Well, it sounds like, let's say you like college athletics. It sounds like that would be a good one to sell to, right? Nebraska. But then also those like in entertainment, pop culture.
Well, yeah, BlastView specifically. But yeah, technically our sales team isn't selling BlastView.
Okay.
They're just selling the automated system from ZipRecruiter to there.
Yeah.
BlastView, I'm having a much more strategic approach where we have specific advisors who, again, we're still looking for, who have the network of these, like, who know the AD at Nebraska and things like that, and they're onboarding the teams and helping that way to help validate us for like to raise some money specifically for BlastView.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with the automation with ZipRecruiter and others, that's also something fun to sell because the pain is real.
It's a real pain. Yeah, absolutely. We just got to get a hold of the right person, show them the products, and it's kind of a no-brainer. The other thing is we'll even, before we even take any money, we're like, before we take a cent, let's literally treat you like a customer and turn on this campaign for you. And as soon as you start to see the applicants roll in, we'll turn the money on, and everyone's okay with that. So it's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Hey, can I fix your problem for free? And then if it actually gets fixed, will you pay me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very path of least resistance sales pitch.
Yeah.
Because we've all been like sold, like, here's your problem. It's not really a problem. Yes, it is. Not really.
Yeah.
But if I've got like a problem, which we actually do have this problem here, this would be helpful.
Can we onboard some WhistlePitch here? You know what we need to do? Can I for free, can I give you our Calendly integration?
Yes.
You'll make a video for yourself, and everyone who comes on this podcast will get to meet you beforehand. I want to give that to you for free, and maybe I can upsell you for the ZipRecruiter to scheduled appointment.
All right. Yeah, that'll be the first video I ever make of my own volition.
Okay.
Well.
Wow.
So.
A lot's happening today. You're learning what OnlyFans is, and you're gonna make a video.
Yep. Quite the day. Very cool. All right. So aside from like building the team and making sure these products work and getting a good sales funnel, where are you going to focus your efforts over the next year?
My efforts are going to be on establishing some like consistent sales on our first two products, the Calendly and there, and then I'm going to be networking with the right people and building the right team to help kind of build BlastView, because once BlastView has the right people onboarded and using it, it's completely self-serve, and I think it will organically grow. Yeah, the money's going to come in from the other products, and then this will organically grow into some really big, sexy thing as BlastView. And we'll obviously, as when time allows and bandwidth allows, WhistlePitch is so industry agnostic and so multifaceted. There's a million actual use cases that I could tell you that we've also found, but we just want to focus on a few, get the money coming in, build teams around them, and then as that's self-sustaining, we'll continue to drop other products.
Yeah, sounds like a good strategy.
Thank you.
Get your footing in your platform and move on to world domination.
Thank you. Yes.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, James, for taking the time to join. It's been fun and very enlightening.
That's what I do.
Slowly pulling me into the modern age.
Just come join us.
Okay. Thank you, James. Appreciate it.
Thank you.